You have heard it 1,000 times before. It takes 21 days to build a habit. It is the golden rule of self-improvement. Just push through for 3 weeks and boom, your life is changed forever. You'll be waking up at 5 a.m., hitting the gym, and reading a book a week, effortlessly. But let me ask you a question. Have you ever tried that? Have you ever gritted your teeth for 21 days, reached the finish line, and then on day 22 found yourself sliding right back to square one? If you have, do not worry. You are not broken, and you are definitely not alone. The problem isn't you. The problem is that you've been lied to. Well, maybe not lied to, but you've been given an incomplete map to a very difficult treasure. Welcome back. Today, we are going to perform a deep dive into the human brain. We're not just going to scratch the surface. We're going to deconstruct exactly what happens in your head at day 21, day 60, and day 90. We're going to look at the neuroscience of why you quit, and more importantly, how you can hack your biology to make sure you never quit again. If you're tired of starting over, stick with me. By the end of this video, you will have the psychological blueprint to build any habit, not just for a month, but for a lifetime. Let's start with the elephant in the room. Where did this 21-day myth come from? It actually comes from a plastic surgeon named Maxwell Maltz in the 1950s. He noticed that when he performed an amputation, like removing a limb or a nose job, it took his patients about 21 days to get used to seeing their new face in the mirror, or to stop feeling the phantom limb. He wrote about this in his massive bestseller, Psycho-Cybernetics. He said it requires a minimum of about 21 days for an old mental image to dissolve and a new one to gel. But here's the catch. As that message got passed around from person to person and book to book, the word minimum got dropped. Suddenly, everyone started saying it takes exactly 21 days. Science tells us a different story. A study from University College London, led by Philip Alali, tracked 96 people over 12 weeks. They found that on average, it takes 66 days to form a new habit. And the range was huge. For some people, it took 18 days. For others, it took 254 days. So if you're struggling at day 22, it's because you're likely only 1/3 of the way there. Now, let's break down the timeline. This is the roadmap you need to memorize. We are going to look at 3 distinct phases: the destruction, the installation, and the integration. Phase 1, days 1 through 21. Let's call this the Defiance. When you start a new habit, say running every morning or learning a new language, you are not just fighting laziness, you are fighting your own biology. Your brain is an energy-conserving machine. It loves efficiency. It loves patterns it already knows. When you introduce a new behavior, your brain views it as a threat. It is a disturbance in the force. Imagine your brain is a dense jungle. Your old habits are superhighways. They are paved, wide, and fast. You can drive down them on autopilot. That is why you check your phone without thinking. That is why you grab a sugary snack when you're stressed. The neural pathway is thick and myelinated. Myelin is a fatty substance that wraps around your nerve fibers. Think of it like the insulation on an electrical cord. The thicker the myelin, the faster the signal travels. Your bad habits have thick myelin sheaths. When you start a new habit on day 1, you are standing at the edge of that jungle with a machete. There is no path. You have to hack through the vines and bushes. It is slow, it is exhausting, and it takes a massive amount of conscious effort. This is happening in your prefrontal cortex. This is the CEO of your brain, responsible for decision-making and willpower. But the prefrontal cortex gets tired easily. During these first 21 days, the resistance is at its peak. This is high gravity. Every cell in your body is screaming at you to go back to the highway. This is why motivation is garbage. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings fade. You cannot rely on feeling pumped to hack through a jungle. You need discipline. During this phase, do not focus on results. Do not look in the mirror expecting a six-pack. Do not expect to speak fluent Spanish. Your only goal in phase 1 is consistency. You are just trying to flatten the grass to make a small trail. Now, let's simulate what happens if you push past the pain and reach day 21. You have made it 3 weeks. Congratulations. But this is the danger zone. Many people celebrate here. They think, I did it. I formed the habit. and then they take a day off. Do not do that. You are entering phase 2, days 22 through 66. We call this the grind. This is where the novelty wears off. The excitement of the new year, new me is gone, but the habit isn't automatic yet. It is this awkward middle ground. It's easier than day 1, but it is still work. In your brain, something magical is starting to happen. It's called long-term potentiation. Neurons that fire together, wire together. The path in the jungle is cleared. You can see where you are going. You do not need the machete for every step, but the ground is still rough. You might trip. If you stop here, the jungle grows back incredibly fast. This is where most people fail because they get bored. We crave dopamine. We want the reward. But in the grind phase, the rewards are delayed. Here's what's happening chemically. Your brain is starting to shift the workload from the prefrontal cortex, the conscious thinker, to the basal ganglia. The basal ganglia is an ancient part of the brain. It controls motor control and procedural learning. It is the autopilot pilot. When you drive a car, you do not think about how much pressure to put on the gas pedal anymore. That's the basal ganglia. During days 22 to 66, your brain is trying to move your new habit into this autopilot center, but it needs repetition. It needs evidence. Every time you repeat the action, you are voting for the person you want to become. You are adding another layer of myelin to that new neural pathway. So what happens if you stick it out to day 60? You are close. You're so close. The resistance is fading. You no longer have to have a mental debate with yourself every morning. You know that conversation. Should I go to the gym? I'm tired. Maybe tomorrow. That inner voice starts to get quieter. Now let's move to the Holy Grail, phase 3, days 67 to 90 and beyond, the integration. At 90 days, 3 months in, a fundamental shift has occurred. The behavior has moved from something you do to something you are. This is identity-based change. In the beginning, you said, I am trying to quit smoking. Now you say, I am not a smoker. In the beginning, you said, I am trying to run. Now you say, I am a runner. At the 90-day mark, the neural pathway is now a paved road. It might not be a superhighway yet, but it's a solid street. The myelin is thick. The signal travels fast. In fact, at this stage, it actually becomes harder not to do the habit than to do it. Have you ever walked into a dark room and flipped the light switch even though you knew the power was out? That's a habit. It requires zero conscious thought. If you reach 90 days, the basal ganglia has taken over. The behavior is automatic. But here's the most fascinating part about the 90-day mark. Your brain structure has physically changed. This is neuroplasticity in action. You have physically rewired your hardware. So we know the timeline, but knowing is not enough. How do we actually survive these 90 days without losing our minds? I want to give you a few scientific laws to follow. These are your tools for the jungle. Tool number 1, the 2-minute rule. This comes from James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits. He says that when you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. Wait, only 2 minutes? Yes. If your goal is to read 30 books a year, do not start by reading an hour a day. Your brain will revolt. It is too big of a threat. Instead, your goal is to read 1 page, just 1. If your goal is to do yoga, your goal is to take out your yoga mat. That is it. Why does this work? Because you are mastering the art of showing up. You cannot improve a habit that does not exist. You need to establish the neural pathway before you can optimize it. A 2-minute habit is easy for your brain to accept. It slips under the radar of your resistance. Once you start, you will likely continue, but the entry fee must be low. Tool number 2, implementation intentions. This is a fancy term for a simple formula. When X happens, I will do Y. Many people say, I'm going to work out more. That is too vague. Your brain does not know what to do with that. You need to give it a specific trigger. When I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. When I take off my work shoes, I will put on my running shoes. You are hacking your environment. You are piggybacking your new habit onto an old one. The old habit serves as the trigger. You are not relying on willpower, you are relying on a sequence. Tool number 3, the never miss twice rule. Perfection is the enemy of progress. You will mess up, you will get sick, you will have a bad day, you will miss a day. That is okay. One mistake does not ruin the process. A study showed that missing one opportunity to perform the behavior did not materially affect the habit formation process. But missing 2 days in a row is the start of a new bad habit. If you miss a day, your priority number 1 is to get back on track immediately. Do not wait for Monday, do not wait for the next month. Get back to it the very next rep. Now, I want to address something crucial for our generation. We live in a world of instant gratification. We scroll TikTok and Instagram and get hit with dopamine every 15 seconds. This has ruined our attention spans and our patience. We see influencers who seem to have perfect lives and we think they were born that way. We do not see their day 1 or their day 45, where they were crying in frustration. Building a habit is boring. Let me repeat that. Real self-development is boring. It is repetitive. It is unsexy. It is doing the same thing over and over again when nobody is watching. But this is where the magic happens. If you can fall in love with the boredom, you will be unstoppable. The amateur practices until they get it right. The professional practices until they cannot get it wrong. Let's look at the brain again at the 60-day mark. There's a concept called synaptic pruning. While you are building new connections, your brain is also cleaning house. It is cutting off connections you do not use. If you stop playing the piano for 10 years, those connections weaken. They get pruned away to save energy. By sticking to your habit for 60 or 90 days, you're telling your brain, keep this. This is important. Do not prune this. You're literally gardening your own mind. Now, let's talk about the specific benefits you unlock at each stage, just to give you some motivation. At 21 days, you get the benefit of confidence. You prove to yourself you can stick to something. That little voice in your head that says you always quit gets a little quieter. At 60 days, you get the benefit of momentum. You start to see physical results. Your clothes fit better. You understand more words in that new language. The feedback loop kicks in. You start to enjoy it. At 90 days, you get the benefit of freedom. The habit no longer takes energy. It actually gives you energy. You have freed up mental RAM. Since you don't have to decide to do the habit, your brain can focus on other things. You can listen to a podcast while you run. You can think about complex problems while you draw. You have leveled up. So, let's summarize what we have learned today. First, forget the 21-day myth. It is a good starting line, but a terrible finish line. Aim for 66 days to 90 days to truly lock it in. Second, understand the biology. You are physically rewiring your brain. You are battling your basal ganglia and training your prefrontal cortex. It is supposed to be hard. If it wasn't hard, everyone would be a genius with a six-pack. Third, use the tools. Start small with the 2-minute rule. Chain your habits with implementation intentions and never miss twice. And finally, be kind to yourself. You are building a lifestyle, not a prison. If you stumble, pick yourself up. The time is going to pass anyway. You can spend the next 90 days staying exactly the same, or you can spend them building a version of yourself that you are proud of. Imagine where you could be 3 months from today. Think about that one habit you have been putting off. Maybe it's reading, maybe it's coding, maybe it's just drinking more water. Start today, not tomorrow, today. Grab your machete and start clearing that path. I want to know what habit you are going to build. Write it down in the comments below. Make a public commitment. I'll be down there reading them and cheering you on. If you found value in this video, if you learned something new about your own brain, please hit that like button. It helps the algorithm show this to more people who need to hear it. And if you want to join a community of people dedicated to real scientific growth, hit subscribe and ring the bell. We are just getting started. Thank you for watching. Keep grinding, keep growing, and I'll see you in the next one.
Until the sky falls.